Good evening. Happy Tuesday. And if it's Tuesday where you are, have to be Taco Tuesday. Those of you that know the bear know that I love my tacos, and I'm very happy that it's Tuesday. Not only because I get to talk about true crime on Tuesday night, but because, well, more than not, there'll be tacos afterwards. I'm excited. Nice to see everybody in the chat. Nice to be back doing what I have a passion for. And I just want to say, for those that have been putting the question forward in my DMs and elsewhere, of course I'm still doing this. Like, I took last week off because I was not well with my voice. I woke up and you could hear, like, even today, it's not 100%. And I've been nursing it. But I came down with something last week and I just decided to rest it. Like, I've been trying to get some recording done, some podcasting thing projects that I have, and I have not been able to because my voice keeps getting strained. So I was trying to give it a break and didn't want to make promises to set up a stream and wake up and have it be all out of sorts again. But it's getting there. It's getting there. It's almost there again. But I didn't want, I'm just definitely got to go forward with all of this. We are all together. Those of you that are my murder minions over at the library, following the true crime cases that we do, we know we've got a pretty big load of cases to follow. And because of the Daybell trial, well, we weren't doing regular weekly streams on true crime. So we're a little bit behind on some of the stuff. And we've been trying to get caught up. And we're getting there. We're getting there. Oh, I know I just covered Sarah Boone, the week before last. But, now the letter's available, you know. And, well, as much as I try not to get into the circus and the theatrics of things, I mean, that letter is 58 pages long. I kid you not. There was no exaggeration. When it hit the court, it was 58 pages long. All right. And then just when we thought we were done with Murdaugh anything, we followed the Murdaugh murder trials. We followed the financial crimes all the way through to the end. But there's that other part of the Murdaugh trials. We even went all the way through with the Mallory Beach settlements, okay? And some of the other, the Satori boys, their actual settlements. We followed all of that with Alex Murdaugh. In that mess was Stephen Smith. And during the trial for Alex Murdaugh, Stephen Smith and the investigation got reopened based on some things that were said and heard and people talking. And because of that reopening of the case and Stephen's body being re-looked at again, it's still not a natural death. Okay. And they're still looking at it. And because of that, and all of the speculation, and we all heard it. We all heard everybody bringing Buster Murdaugh, bringing that Murdaugh name right into the middle of this investigation too. Buster Murdaugh, well, he's on the thumbnail because Buster Murdaugh has fought back against all the documentaries that listed that he was a major suspect in the death of Stephen Smith. He's pushing back hard on the media, in documentaries, in irresponsibility. And let's just say I'm going to ring a bell for him on that one. I may not be a fan of Alex Murdaugh, but his son hasn't been proven to do anything. And to go out there and slander somebody's reputation just based on who he knows, well, let's just say that hit a little too close to home and kind of pissed me off. And so I'm going to follow his civil suit. I don't normally follow civil suits, but as far as I could see, it's still an offshoot of everything that happened with the Murdaughs. It needs to be followed so we can close this up just like Stephen Smith. We're going to keep on the Stephen Smith investigation too. All right, so now you know how I feel about both cases. We got that bias out of the way. I think this letter is going to be cray-cray, and I think we should support the suit for Buster Murdaugh, or at least his right to fight back, like this, which I do. Which do you want to hear? Which do you want to go into first? I got legal documents for you guys in let's just see. All right, I guess to make it easy so y'all don't have to put it out in public, let's just put a quick poll up while I'm talking up here. And we'll just see who wins first. I just want to see what a race between the two of them would be like. That's all right. So take a second and just give me a quick vote if you're in the chat, if you're able to, on your phones or whatever. And let's just talk about, like, it's Tuesday. Let's just catch up a little bit. Let me just take a look into the chat, see who's here. For those of you listening later or over on Twitter, hello and welcome. Hello, Sheil and Sean. It's good to see you. Hey, Couch. Hope you had a good weekend. There's After Dark. I don't know if that's Linda or Michaela, whoever it is. Hello, Michaela, probably. Michaela, I'm sorry. I keep saying it wrong. I apologize. Liam, it's good to see you. How you doing? Sheil, nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming in with your wrenches. Yeah, Juju, hello. Mousy, hello. Mark, how are you doing? What do you mean? Come on, performing bears don't get breaks. This one does. This one takes a break now when she needs it. Like, yes, I do. I'm going to be good to myself. What do y'all think about that? It's about time. Hey, Mandy, how you doing? Yeah, she does. Yeah, she. Good. I'm glad you think it's pretty, because I'm going to need a translator. All those loopy loops, like I don't know what some of these were. I'll be honest. I read it and I'm like, what is she saying there? Like, what? Yep. As a bit of a talker myself, I could do a 58-page letter. I could do too, but I don't think I'd give it to the judge. I think if I was doing text, if I was doing voice to text, it would be 58 pages. Easy. Very, very, very easy. Okay. Like Juju, I could talk up, y'all know, not just Juju. Y'all know I could talk up a blue street, but it would be 58 pages. Absolutely. Would I give it to a judge? I'm not so sure. Hey, Mary, good to see you. Teresa, it's good to see you also. Damn. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is a very good way to say it. And thank you for reminding everyone to hit the like. Listen, Mandy's right. Y'all like to come here and talk, and you want channels to be successful. So don't forget, when you come to a channel, and if you like the content, and not just mine, I'm talking about everybody's, don't forget that like. Don't forget to share it and make a comment about it to someone. Share it with someone that you haven't seen in the chat in a while, or that you think would like it. If you haven't subscribed, you really should. You really, really should. Okay? Because that is what tells the creators you want to hear what they're doing. Okay? And, those comments on the back of the videos, well, I don't know about other creators, but I read them all. I don't delete anything, and I answer you. I think you all get replies. And if you have questions about cases later or things you want to talk about, if you don't have another way to get a hold of me, let's talk about them right there. It's perfectly, I enjoy it. I like going back and seeing the comments and seeing if I can do something better, or if I missed something, or pointing me in a direction for something else. Makes my day. Okay, so I think I speak for a lot of small creators. Like, keep it up, and like Mandy said, get down there and hit those likes. If there's 21 of you here, there should be quite a few of them down there, you know. Boy, let's see. Oh, it is Michelle. Okay. Oh, yeah. I don't blame him. People make stuff up and call it reporting. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And in the documentaries, like they are actually picking the most controversial lately of what we call journalistic type talking heads and people that have podcasts and blogs and even YouTube channels. Yeah. And because like that's what gets views, right? Like the different angles, the controversy. I mean, come on, we're all grown-ups here. We could talk about the drama factor. Yeah, that's what I'm calling it now. I decided to clean up my language. We could forget all of that other stuff. The bear well. You could put the expletives before and after it for me. I know some of you actually did when I said it. But yeah, that drama factor that people just like eat up like sugar water, drink up like sugar water or spoonful of honey, And I agree, Liam. Where is Quiz when everybody's pushing back hard? Like, where is he? Yeah, exactly. I'm sure my brother's listening. I'm sure he is, All righty. What's this? Oh my. Voice to text, 5-page minimum. It's a matter of shutting. Really? Is there really a 5-page minimum? Maybe that's what I need and the court needs. And from what Juju said, maybe her also. Like, okay, let's see. All right. This is a good point, Juju. I was going to bring this up later, but there we go. I think her lawyer's begged to be removed as her counsel because she will, in fact, not shut up. Let's see what that letter says, because we'll save that. Let's just see. As long as we don't talk about Gypsy Rose, she's okay. Mary, I'm not doing that. I tried to give my opinion about one thing on Gypsy Rose out on the socials and talk about a slam fest. Like, it wasn't 100 accounts or 1,000 accounts like you would think. Okay, it was one account that just wouldn't let it go and just was hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering, and I was just like, wow, like, okay, so like to that one sock account, I said, bye, Gypsy. See you later. I'm out. I'm out. Like that stuff is insane, Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about that, Mary. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. If I ever talk about her, it'll be on one of my other shows. And there's plenty to choose. There's 3 I'm thinking of. It could be either the what the F, because like really, what the F? Okay. Or it could be am I the asshole? But like, we kind of know the answer to all of that. Or mayhem, but talk about bringing everybody down. I don't know. I probably would never, ever talk about her. Hey, Turtle Moves. Good to see you. I'm going to bring these up. Thank you very much. Shill has gifted 5 memberships to those that received them. And that would be Sally. Who dat? You are Victoria. Teresa. 1, 2, 3, 4. I see. I can't see. Oh, and Joe Black. Welcome to membership. Any of you that are not already in the discount from a prior membership gift or from joining and would like to, please just hit me up. All of my DMs are open with your Discord ID. I will send you the invite. I do periodically put out a members only post, especially if there's been gifted memberships, which will have a link for the Discord in there. If you use a different name than your membership name, you do not have to tell the whole Discord who you are, but could you tell me who you are so I can approve your roles and give you access to everything that you need? That's all. And I assure you, I ain't going to be sharing anything you don't want shared. Okay. I get how people use different names and accounts. Okay. Hey, down the rabbit hole. Welcome. Good to see you. We're just getting started. I've got a poll up there on which one we're going to start with first. Yeah, that gypsy stuff is crazy, Sean. You know, as much, believe me, there are plenty of channels that are going to be covering all of that. So if you want to get into the gypsy drama and all of that, because you know that's what it is. Like, it don't belong here because you know there's not anything legal going on right now, or at least not yet. You know, but there's not. I mean, that's all old for me. Thank you very much. Rabbit says, I don't know anything about Murdaugh, but looking forward to hearing about Boone. I will share on my channel. Um, Thank you very much. There is a Boone playlist on my channel with all the other episodes that I've done talking about the actual legal nuts and bolts of the case. This is going to be a little bit shorter because we're really going to delve just into a little bit more about the recent hearing, not much, but basically the 58-page letter that she wrote. And this is going to be a little on the lighter side because you can't read a letter from Sarah Boone and not snark. I'm sorry. I'll just give you the warning ahead of time, people. It's going to be really difficult to keep this all like, you know, straight, like, is like, yeah, just straightforward, no commentary. Let's just read the facts kind of stuff, which we do with the legal documents. And, you know, but eh, should I just say sorry, not sorry ahead of time and tell you, well, if you hear the snark, I can guarantee you it's definitely you heard correctly. Like, I'm not going to be able to hold back on some of it. And I think once you get into it, you'll see why. But there are valid things that need to be addressed also. So it's going to be one of those. We're going to be goofing and then we're going to be serious. Like, okay, let me check out that poll because we should get this stuff on the roll. And hey, let's end the poll with Buster Murdaugh in the lead. Okay, let me pull that up. That's that is only a 12-page document, but it will tell you why he's suing. Okay, but before that, let me just get that ready. Before that, I'll share your link to the article that lists his statement during the trial about when the body. Buster releases statement on death of Stephen Smith as the family searches for answers, and that particular article is from March of last year. Okay, this was when the family wanted the body exhumed, which has happened. And this was after Alex was convicted. Um, Buster had said, I have tried my best to ignore the vicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen Smith's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal murders of my mother and brother. I love them so much and I miss them terrible. Okay. Now, we all know Stephen Smith was one of his classmates. This is his association. Okay. Now, Buster did testify on behalf of his father. Okay. As a son you would expect would. Okay. Well, Alex was then sentenced to life in prison, although, as we've all heard, as appealing his murder conviction with his attorneys, you know, Hart Pullian and, you know, Jim. So, all right, this was a national case. We all know this was everywhere. Okay, well, just to bring you up to speed, Stephen Smith was found dead on the road near his family homes in 2015. He was lying in the middle of the street, and it has been confirmed there was blunt force trauma on his head. Okay, since then, in the investigation, there have been a couple of people named. There's been no charges to date. SLED in South Carolina has opened up the investigation. They say that it's still going on. Okay. And they say it's still active. We have heard nothing else except for some interviews and things, and some things have been leaked about what certain people have said. Well, what we've heard the most of, even before the investigation was reopened and the body was exhumed, we heard so much about accusations against certain people in the documentaries that were made regarding the Murdaughs, regarding all the murders and all the drama. I mean, let's face it, 110 criminal charges and allegations against Alex Murdaugh. The financial crimes alone were astronomical and the biggest I had ever seen individually. Who didn't he steal from? Who didn't he defraud? And then there was the sensationalism of a familiar side, his wife and son murdered. And the only other person on the property at the time with this any evidence of, and I can say that now after the trial, there was no evidence of anyone else being around, just Alex Murdaugh. Okay. And then we had that damning video from Paul's phone that put Alex directly at the scene of the crime. And we have Alex's statement where he lied about being at the scene of the crime. That's what did it. That's the whole case in a nutshell right there. Forget about the financial crimes, and all of that. That was all used for motive. We all know that. Okay. But Buster had to sit through that. He was there with his girlfriend a lot. All right. Buster claims that he has been targeted and harassed by the media and followers of the story, and it has gone on far too long. The baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false. I unequivocally deny any involvement in his death, and my heart goes out to the Smith family. Now, he made that right afterwards, okay? He made that statement because he was being hounded at the time, being part of the Murdaugh trial. Can you imagine what his life was like right then? All these documentaries are out. Everybody's jumping on that Murdaugh bandwagon. Hundreds of, if not thousands of YouTube channels reporting on it every day. Me being one. Hey, got my hand up there. I'm right in the middle of it. Covered the whole trial, reported every filing, covered financial sentencings. I love Judge Newman. Followed them all the way through. Okay, to all of the sentencings on it. Okay, followed the other co-conspirators like Smith, like the other Smith, and some others that were involved. The head of the bank, Lafayette, like all of them. All of the other lawyers that were involved in any little part of it. We've all talked about it. Some of you here are probably so saturated with Murdaugh lingo and facts, like you're probably sick of it. I get it. But to me, this part's important. It really is. Okay. So enough of that. Enough of that from me, right? So if you want to, that article at least talks about where Buster Murdaugh was during Alex Murdaugh's trial. This is right after he was convicted. This is his mindset then. And now that there's a civil suit that was just recently filed, okay, here in June, filed on the 14th of this month in June 2024, I think it's safe to say that it didn't stop. They didn't stop hounding him. It didn't stop affecting him. That for someone who already has experience with the limelight, a distasteful experience with the media in the public, for them to actually put money into filing a lawsuit that's going to, you have to realize that as soon as he filed this, it was going to blow up. As soon as he did anything about anything, people were going to latch onto it and it was going to blow up. Can you imagine what had to be going on the last year and a half in his personal life for him to actually take this step forward? It's not like he can just, gather his wealth and move on into the sunset because he doesn't have wealth. Buster was very key in negotiating that the Mallory Beach settlement go through, and that everything get done and taken care of properly. Monies that are due from both Maggie's and Paul's estate go to victims, not Buster. Now, Buster's not desolate, okay? I'm sure that arrangements have been made and properties and things that Buster's not desolate. But Buster couldn't go back to his family home. He never did. Okay? His brother and his mother were murdered there. His father was on trial for murder. He's not sleeping there. He's been sleep with his girlfriend since. Okay, his girlfriend's a lawyer. There's all that stuff with Buster not going back to law school or whatever. I can't blame him. I mean, there was some stuff about some plagiarism, whatever. He got like kicked, and then there was a petition to bring him back. At this point, his dreams of following through with his family legacy of being in law, judges, lawyers of high esteem, law enforcement, all the way through. That whole family line and reputation was tainted by Alex Murdaugh. I mean, you don't say the name Murdaugh now without thinking about that, right? All of us. Mm-hmm. So, he may be a Murdaugh. And that may be a dirty word in South Carolina, but I still feel for him. I'm all the way up here in New Jersey, and I can walk away from all of that hoopla, whatever you want to call it, and I feel for him. I do. Just because you're around the situation doesn't make you part of it, but it does affect you. It does affect you when people are putting it all on you. And so, like this lawsuit, is to fight back. And that's why I titled it the way I did. Buster Fights Back, because that's what he's doing here. He's like, that's it. I've had it. I'm done. Now y'all are going to have to show me why you say what you say. Like, that's it. It's not. I thought if it wasn't true, I didn't have to fight against it, that you'd all figure it out. But apparently, I can't. And you know what? If you're going to make it for that way for me, then I'm just going to get something out of it, aren't I? And isn't he due his just dues? Okay. So anyway, this filing, which is the only one on record yet, okay, is Buster, whose name is also Richard Alexander, like his father. He's Richard Alexander Murdaugh Jr., okay, is suing Blackfin Inc., Warner Brothers, Discovery Inc., Warner Media Entertainment Pages, Campfire Studios, Cinematrix LLC, Netflix, Gannett, and Michael DeWitt Jr., who is one of the people that actually let themselves go on film as a journalist and spew the stuff. Personally, like the face of Buster Murdaugh should be indicated in the Stephen Smith murder. Yeah. Michael DeWitt. We all saw his face. We all heard his comments if you watch the documentaries. And now he's named in the lawsuit personally. Now, everybody here, we all know how this goes, right? Everybody in the verses, okay, needs a lawyer. And they're all co-defendants at this point, okay? And Michael DeWitt has participated with those companies above in some way in most of these documentaries. Okay. So, but he is not allowed to use the same lawyers. So, who do you think they're going to throw under the bus? That's something. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they're all summoned and required to answer a complaint, a copy which herein served upon you, judgment by default will be rendered against you if you don't answer. That's standard. If they try to ignore it and they don't have a kind judge like one TikTok psychic did, you don't get an extension of time and judgment can be put against you just for not answering. That's how civil goes. Okay. You're kind of forced to get in there and at least tell your truth. Okay. Anyway, we're going to go through what they did. We know that the defendant Blackfin, that's in New York. Okay. It has a jurisdiction of court by reason of doing business in South Carolina. Okay. And by the commission of the below described wrongful act. Okay. Blackfin transacted and engaged in persistent course of business within the state. This is all just laying out jurisdiction. You guys know I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to go into the details of that. Okay, I'm going to get into they're just doing jurisdiction in this part, which doesn't need to be read word for word, just talks about the companies themselves, the co-defendants, all of them individually, and why he's allowed to file this civil suit in South Carolina. Okay. Well, here's the part I want you to know. Michael DeWitt is a resident of Hampton County and the editor of a weekly newspaper, the Hampton County Guardian. As editor of the Hampton County Guardian, DeWitt is an agent of defendant Gannett Company. So he's tied in with one of the major ones, and they may be able to share a lawyer on this because of the mutual consensus. We will actually see. Okay, the reason they're saying they have jurisdiction, that's obvious. Like, but here we go. On July 8th, Stephen Smith, whose car had been out of gas, was walking along a Royal Road in Hampton County, South Carolina. It was late at night, and as he was walking along the road, he was allegedly struck by a part of a vehicle and killed. News sources now report his death is being considered by a statewide grand jury. Those things are confidential. They'll tell you what's going on, but you ain't going to know what's going on in there. And the media has reported on individuals unrelated to plaintiff allegedly being involved in his death. Yes, there are two prime suspects. Yes, there are. A driver and somebody who is with him in another vehicle. They are looking at that. I've seen the reports. The plaintiff, even though he has been falsely accused. And media has reported on individuals unrelated to plaintiff allegedly being involved in his death. The plaintiff, Buster, even though he has been falsely accused of harming Stephen Smith, as described below, has not been notified by any law enforcement entities of any allegations against him related to Stephen Smith's death. Now, this has been true all along. SLED had to admit no one has ever pulled Buster in for questioning on this. He has not been indicated in the crime, and he wasn't on their list. He's not on their radar for it. Okay? No one has said anything to him about it like that. Can you imagine what that feels like to have the media reporting you're involved in law enforcement, and you know there's a grand jury and you know they're doing an investigation, but nobody's talking to you? On or about June 17th, in 2022, Warner Brothers Discovery began streaming and broadcasting a series called The Murdaugh's Deadly Dynasty. I watched every one of those. I remember someone coming into the chat, I believe it was Pete Hutchins, and telling me all about this series, and I started watching it all of it. There was a lot about Stephen Smith in there. Okay, through its platform on Discovery and Investigation Discovery television channel, which falsely suggests and subtly accuses the plaintiff of being the murderer of Stephen Smith. During a 10-minute segment of the Murdaugh Deadly Dynasty series, the plaintiff is alluded to a number of times as the murderer of Stephen Smith. Yes, they said it. They called him a murderer. Okay, they used the word. In editing, they could have cleared this up. Okay. There are words you can add to statements that can keep you out of lawsuits. Learn them. Allegedly, suspected, no confirmed comments from law enforcement. Like, put them in there. Put them in there. These statements about the plaintiff are defamatory and falsely accuse the plaintiff of committing a crime of moral turpitude. The false statements have been published to hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of viewers who watch the show. They got a lot of numbers, okay, including viewers in South Carolina. And the defamatory statements continue to be republished as of the filing of this action on a broad array of streaming platforms and channels owned by defendant Warner Brothers Discovery. Defendant Warner Brothers Discovery has hundreds of thousands of subscribers to its Discovery, Investigative ID, and other streaming and broadcasting services and channels within South Carolina. Was aware of the acute regional interest in the series and intended for South Carolina viewers to watch. Now, this is key here. He's saying that y'all knew and geared this towards everybody in South Carolina. You knew there was a feeding frenzy going on, and you did this with intent. Defendant Warner Brothers Discovery purposely and specifically directed marketing and advertising efforts for the series to South Carolina citizens. You might say, why am I focusing there? You might say, like, why do I focus there? And to me, that means, well, not only does it show intent, but if he can prove that those market campaigns existed and they put more there and not, for me, that also means, well, no one's been charged in Stephen Smith's murder. And if you're actually going to call other people to question that are, you're, number one, interference in a law enforcement investigation. Okay, let's just like, and how about poisoning a jury pool? Well, some might say, Claire, what are you, crazy? Like, all of South Carolina is poisoned jury pool. At this point, you just have to say the name Murdaugh, and you'd be that's to some extent, it's 100% correct. Okay, and I get that. But do they have to add to it with intent and on purpose, thinking that they can get away with it? Like, you know, can I just like poke at journalistic irresponsibility and media irresponsibility here just a little? Just a little. And can I capitalize and put in caps that word irresponsible, like a little bit, like, because that's how I'm feeling. Like, y'all make millions of dollars. Do you have to irresponsibly ruin other people's lives just because you can? Just because you can. Like, I don't know. Beginning on November 3rd, the defendants were of 2022. We're still back in the Wayback Machine here. The defendants, Warner Brothers Discovery and Warner Media, began distributing and streaming another 3-part series to the public called Low Country, The Murdaugh Dynasty, which I saw that one too. Through, blah, 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 through the whole platforms. HBO, that's where I saw it. The series published false statements that suggest the plaintiff, along with others, murdered Stephen Smith by striking him with a baseball bat. That's the one that focuses on the statements that was disproved about somebody saying, I was in the car with them and we were going around whacking mailboxes and all, and we hit him in the head with a bat. And someone tried to say that Buster was in that vehicle. First of all, they had no record of the vehicle. The person who said it, anybody he said was everybody else denied. Like, they all had alibis that they weren't with him. Like, so it was disproved pretty quickly. But because it was a hot ticket rumor, because it, like, wow, it's sensationalism, it's in the documentary. And here's the point. It's in the documentary. If I recall correctly, and I think this is going to come out in the trial, and if it doesn't, you can call me to tax later. But if I recall, by the time those documentaries were made, that statement was already discredited. And that's where I have an issue. And that's where I think Buster's onto something here. If you can prove that people go forward with the false allegations after they know the truth, which Friday we're going to talk about. Friday, we got something good for you. We're going to talk about that. It really hits home, that point right there. If you continue on after giving information to disprove the statement, could you be liable for defamation? Well, common sense, and that's how I run, common sense. I have a fascination with the law, but I'm no lawyer. Not a lawyer bear, just a bear with an opinion, a woman named Bear with an opinion. I'm not even a real bear. Just let's get that cleared up. Well, should you be held liable for the stuff you say when you know it's not true? If you're a media company making lots of money about it, apparently so. These statements are defamatory in that they falsely accuse the plaintiff of committing murder. We're not talking, oh, he's a bad guy. Oh, he stole a few thousand or millions or whatever. We're talking murder here. Okay? And you know what, Mark? Good question. Let me just get that. I know I've got the document up. Hopefully you'll still be able to see this. Oh, where is that? Why won't these things go in order? Anyway, Mark says, like, not only just the accusation, but just them using the word murder, like the word murderer wrongly. They weren't they sued for that? Of course they are. They used the word murderer and associated with him as if he was. So absolutely they're sued for that. Absolutely they should be sued for that. Mark also says, you got to wonder whether Buster was in any way implicated, and if not, what the whole mess had done to his reputation. It can't be good. Exactly. People don't do civil defamation suits because they're just their fifis are hit. This young man has been in the limelight enough and knows the damage that limelight has done to him and not even being involved. Okay. He sees how the spread of that focus, how that trickles all around, and the puddle gets bigger and bigger and you get caught in it. Okay. He wouldn't be suing if nothing else was going on. I mean, can you imagine? We talk about reputation, which is going to be a big part of this lawsuit, right? Like we all get that, right? Damage to his reputation. First of all, we know in defamation, he's got to prove intent. He's got to prove monetary loss of reputation and whatever. Does he have a job? Has he been turned down? Does he not get the interviews? Can he not get into college again to finish his law degree? What are they doing? Have they interfered with him monetarily and financially, not just on his reputation? And then we're going to have the whole big thing on whether or not he's a public figure or not. Buster Murdaugh does not covet to be a public figure. Would you all agree? Did he grab a microphone out there and do press conferences in regards to what was happening to his family? Did he advocate for anyone? Did he put himself out there in such a way or offer interviews or make money? I don't see so. Is he a target of the media? Yeah. Is he a public figure? I don't know. Does your father, being a convicted murderer, make you a public figure? Does your father, being one of the worst financial crimes that happened in the state of South Carolina ever, make you a public figure? I think it puts you in the public eye. I think it puts you into public gossip and it puts you into public drama. But does it make you a public figure? He's not willingly putting himself there. It's a matter of circumstance. So that's the hook here for me. Not just the sensationalism of the Murdaugh name. This is a civil person. A you, a me, and everybody who's going against major media saying, you don't have the right to talk shit about me. And I cannot let that go. I'm going to champion it because whatever happens in this lawsuit is important to everybody in that chat. Everybody. We're not famous, not one single, not any of us, okay? Any one of our family members could do something to put them in the spotlight all over this country at any given time. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. Okay. And that's not a disparaging remark. You know what I'm saying here. It could happen to you. What would be our recourse? What would be our recourse? This isn't public figure suing public figure for ruining their movie deals or their touring contracts, their acting gigs, or their ability to sell bonds, or startups for business. Okay. This is a citizen saying, you don't get to talk crap about me. I don't care how I'm associated to anybody. You better know what you're talking about if you put my name in there. And I want to see what happens. And I hope you guys will come along with me for the ride. All right. So this one I wanted to know about. I didn't know who this Campfire Studios was. They did the Low Country Murdaugh Dunners, and they and published that the described defamatory statements concerning plaintiff and profited from Warner Brothers Discovery's republishing of those statements. In creating and producing the series Campfire Studios, which created a series after the first series done by Warner Brothers, engaged in persistent series development, investigation, and filming activities within the state to create an artistic work that would have specific appeals to viewers within the state and would be consumed by those in the state, and they being South Carolina. Okay. Netflix began streaming Murdaugh Murders, A Southern Scandal. Well, we're up to 3 now. Okay. And which depicts a young man with red hair carrying a baseball bat. Gee, they wouldn't be trying to bank on the statement made by the others that was discredited about Buster probably being involved with some kind of baseball bat shenanigans. The plaintiff has red hair and is readily ascertainable from the content of the series that the creators were depicting the plaintiff as the murderer of Stephen Smith. That series publishes statements such as, "Everyone keeps coming up to me and saying it was the Murdaugh boys." Listening to these statements, it is pretty clear Stephen's death is intertwined with the Murdaughs. Now, if you say something like, Stephen's death is intertwined with the Murdaughs, and then you take a depiction of an actor with red hair and a baseball bat, that kind of infers to the other statements that have been made in public documentaries. Buster might have a point, because, well, his brother has red hair too, and we're not saying that the only people that have red hair in South Carolina are the Murdaugh brothers, because that obviously isn't true. But there's clear inference there, and a jury can probably catch that. Now, I don't know which way they'll lean, but I mean, that looks like it could be linked. The series falsely contains statements that the plaintiff was engaged in a romantic relationship with Stephen, and that it was plaintiff and maybe two other individuals who killed Stephen. And they did say that. And they did accuse him of that. That was all over. The statements are defamatory in that they falsely accused the plaintiff of committing murder. The false statements were published to hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of viewers who watched the show, including those in South Carolina, of course. And the defamatory statements continue to be republished, even now, by defendant Netflix. We'll see after the filing if they pull it. Well, it has hundreds of thousands of subscribers just within South Carolina, and they're aware of the cute regional interest in the series and intended for those viewers to watch this, and purposefully and specifically directed marketing and advertising efforts in the South Carolina area for those citizens. All right. Then they're going to go, Cinemart LLC, Murdaugh Murders, a Southern Scandal. They were the producers, okay, and in so published the above described defamatory statements concerning the plaintiff and profited from defendant Netflix republishing of those statements, okay, in creating and producing the series. They were persistent. They engaged in persistent series development and investigation, filming activities within the state to create an artistic work. Now, here's the thing. Series development, investigation. It's going to be key here. This word investigation to me means that in the diligence of creating a series, some investigation is actually done. So the possibility that you found out that all of these statements weren't true and forgot to add in the fact of that and still persisted for whatever reason, for hype, drama, whatever, to go on with it, was that reasonable? Were you making an intentional act against someone or with no regard? I'm going to be focusing in that direction. Here we get to Michael. And these are the statements they're going to get you. Michael DeWitt Jr. is the editor of the Hampton County Guardian, a local weekly newspaper in Hampton County. He appeared in the Netflix series Murdaugh Murders, a Southern Scandal, in both his individual capacity and within the scope and course of his agency as an editor, meaning journalistic integrity needs to be applied here if it exists. Could you guys read the subtext there? The Hampton County Guardian in this document states, we were hearing all these rumors about a possible connection. There is some truth to it. Really? What truth? We could not put the Murdaugh name in the story unless we wanted to face lawsuits. We said a prominent, well-known family was rumored to be involved. Everyone knew who we were talking about. We published the story and we waited. People would come up to me in the Piggly Wiggly and pat me on the back. We're so thankful you had the courage to run the story. We did everything but put the Murdaugh name in the story. That statement right there. We did everything but put the Murdaugh name in the story. This paragraph right here shows intent to try to prevent a lawsuit. We know the damage that we're going to do. We know we don't have facts to back it up, but we didn't say the name, so you can't come at us. Is that fair? I began to have a bad taste in my mouth about the members of the Murdaugh family, as many people in the community did. Michael DeWitt is showing his bias a little bit there. When put in context with the remainder of the documentary, it is clear that Mr. DeWitt is falsely accusing the plaintiff of being involved in the murder of Stephen Smith. Mr. DeWitt's false statements defamed the plaintiff and damaged his reputation. Defendant's publications are unprivileged or exceed the scope of any privilege recognized by South Carolina and federal law. The statements were made with reckless indifference to the truth. In publishing these statements, defendants purposely ignored information demonstrated their falsity that was readily available to and within the defendant's knowledge, including information indicating that individuals unrelated to the plaintiff were responsible for Mr. Smith's death. Defendants' publications and republications of the defamatory statements are unfair and biased in that defendants deliberately chose to omit from the series information contradicting the above described defamatory statements. They're saying you knew there was additional information that would make it not seem the way you wanted to portray it, and you chose not to include it on purpose with intent to profit and smear in South Carolina. Now, that's my bare interpretation of those paragraphs, if you get my gist. Falsely or unsubstantiated. Good question. You know, Mark, I love these. I love these questions because, like, that's true. Is it false or is it unsubstantiated? At this point, because no one has been tried or convicted for the murder of Stephen Smith and the investigation is ongoing, you are correct that the proper word would be unsubstantiated. Okay, but he's not under investigation and law enforcement has come forward and said so, especially after the filing. They did have a statement from SLED officials that did say Buster Murdaugh is not currently under investigation for this and he is not indicated. We're not looking at him. And the family hopes that this lawsuit will help shake the trees and get more information out and bring Stephen's case to light again, because like they're still going on. There's no movement. Okay. There's nothing happening. They say that there's a grand jury, but no charges have come forward. No charges had been laid down. So either there wasn't enough information given to the grand jury or there wasn't enough available, or they just didn't go with their big enough probable cause to actually charge anybody. All right. But if he was, law enforcement couldn't say he was not being investigated if he was. I mean, they're not going to lie. They would say that he's on a long list. You know, I don't think that they would try to indicate him directly on a 1-on-1, but to say that he is not under investigation is a huge statement. I get that too. One of my favorite parts of this filing, and there were quite a few, because they're like, yeah, you guys did this and you didn't even think about it. All you thought about was like where you were going. Wow. Great wording. Reckless indifference to the truth. I love it. It's an excellent point, Mark. Unsubstantiated. I agree. That should be the word. Falsely. Okay. I think that in the filing, because it's coming from Buster, he's going to say false, because his thing is, I can prove it wasn't me. I either have an alibi, I've even been cleared by law enforcement. When it comes to coming to before the judge with, can I prove that the statements are false? He may have enough to do that. And so maybe that is why his attorneys are putting the word false in there. And his attorney is Sean Courtney Kent, from Kent Law Firm. And I actually have something on that I can give to you. But let me just finish this so I can take this document down. again, with reckless indifference to the truth right there. They still published those information, and they ignored any information that demonstrated their falsity that was readily available. And that's a big paragraph there, okay? It is. Defendants' publications and republications of the defamatory statements are unfair and biased in that defendants deliberately chose to omit from the series information contradicting the above described defamatory statements. In other words, they had availability of the information, they knew about information that cleared him, and they just ignored it. All of the above described statements were defamatory and falsely accused the plaintiff of being involved in the murder of Stephen Smith. As a result of the specific false and defamatory statements made by defendants and republished by defendants, the plaintiff's reputation has been irreparably damaged, and he has suffered mental anguish. Plaintiff is entitled to actual damages and punitive damages because of the reckless conduct of the defendants in falsely accusing him of being involved in the murder of Stephen Smith. They pray for actual damages, punitive damages, and the costs of this action, leaving it up to the jury. And we go all the way back to page 1. He wants a jury trial. Okay. Oh, oof, oof, oof. For those of you that like the words, you know who I'm talking to. Those of you who like to read it in detail, here's your link to the official document. There you go. Listen, I also have information. Let me just see. Where did I put it? Like, excuse me. Although my tech is solid today, I may not have pulled up all the links I should have. There's a reporter in, all right, when we covered Murdaugh, although I don't agree with his politics and some of the stuff that he does, over there on Fitz News is a local paper. They pretty much put a lot of the facts out. And so I will give you the article that he did on this particular filing. And then here is information that you can find on the lawyer that's representing Buster. Okay, and that's Sean Kent from Sean Kent Loan Firm. Okay, and it looks like, well, you know, let's see where this goes. Civil lawsuits are designed to get money, and because somebody feels wronged, we know that, right? So this is just going to be about getting cost and saying, you can't do this to me without some repercussions. And since there's no criminal offense here, nobody's charging you criminally for anything, I need to do this all for me, basically. And it usually involves court costs in some kind of settlement ahead of time. Civil suits don't necessarily always end up in court, like in trial. They should end up in settlement. I mean, that's basically what it's about. If I was Buster, I would be demanding in settlement that all of those documentaries be removed, that charities be set up, and I'd get some financial restitution, but they do something better with the money, like educating journalists on proper procedure, fact-checking, and how to present a story that's sensational but actually does include the whole thing. Especially, we have to understand that all of these documentaries were put out while a trial was coming up for the murders. These aren't post-history documentaries. These are sensational documentaries while it was all going on. Before. Yep, I agree, Mark. Civil suits are about compensation, and they usually involve somebody who totally thinks they were wronged. Liam, thank you. That is like one of the nicest things. You know what? And I was gonna pull it up and and say it, but you know I'm gonna mangle these words, right? And just ruin the nice thing you just said about me. All right, here we go. I think you did a spiffingly effusive and elucidated job of reading that for us. Well, thank you very much, Liam, and thank you for giving me my word fix of the day. I'm a wordy. I'm a wordy. Yep. Yeah, I agree, Mark. Civil suits are all about compensation. All about. Yeah. Um. Thank you. I'll tell you. Oh. All right. The word falsely may have been used to not put undue inferences upon Buster. This is true. This is absolutely true. Absolutely. I kind of lead in that way. I do. You know what? That is a sad statement, Liam. I mean, I'm glad you. I didn't see it when you put it in there at the time, and I'm glad I did because I probably would have giggled while I was reading. But getting kudos at the Piggly Wiggly is so sad. I'm telling you, like, can you imagine like that you're a journalist and you're talking to people in the supermarket? But come on, that's how small towns, even that's how a lot of towns are, and that's how real life is. Like, that's where everything's like going down, and that's what's happening. But yes, everybody, that was mm, I hope you're okay with following this and you're not all murdered out. Okay. Civil suits take a long time. I would expect there's going to be major negotiations going on here. We haven't heard from anybody else yet. We don't even know who all of their attorneys are. Okay. But we'll get you the information the best that we can and follow up on it. I'll tell you. I'm going to be following it because the way I've been looking at the things that happen, especially since I've been trying to cover true crime, about from the beginning of me having a YouTube channel, from before I even had a YouTube channel, and I was just guesting on other people's platforms, speaking about what I have a passion for, which is reading the legal documents and looking at it from all of the different angles and trying to see like how evidence plays out, what they're referring to, how laws get changed, and that's a big one for me. How the insufficiencies in our legal system get pointed out, and how sometimes good things happen and laws get changed. Okay. And things come forward, and this one speaks to me personally because I have noticed how crazy the media is lately, how crazy everyone is lately. And I don't mean everyone, like every individual that I know, all of you in chat and all. I just mean how commonplace, let's just say this, how it's becoming more commonplace for people to just run with innuendo, damaging rumors in stuff without fact checking, without looking at things for themselves. Like, it's so much easier to just go with a crowd and go, oh, yep, okay. Like, that makes sense. Oh, isn't that horrible? Let's just do that. And people have opinions about stuff. There's always like trigger words and trigger situations that bring people in, like if it's about a child or it's a murder, the word murder itself, or because someone comes from an affluent background or is related to people that have done some crazy shit, or they're in the same circles, or, even as blatantly as, oh my God, it's you ate at the restaurant there and that person was sitting 3 tables away. And my God, are you implicated? Like, I saw so and so. We've all been there. We all hear it. Is it entertaining? Yeah, it is. In, I guess, human nature, we all love a good story, right? We all love a good story, you know. But what you got to try to do is not be the story. Yeah, you know, and don't hurt people with the story. That's all I gotta say. And so I'm gonna champion Buster waving that flag and saying enough is enough. And I'm pushing back. And if you're gonna make money on me, give me my share. Give me my damn share. You're going to ruin me over something I didn't do? Give me my damn share. That's the system we live in right now. Hey there, Justice for Marilyn Manson. Hello. I hope your tech issues are getting resolved the way mine is. I've got internet. See, I'm here. I'm here. So I'm glad to see you. I am. People have always said stupid stuff like no smoke without fire and followed the group, which makes them feel good. This is true. All right. We spent some time on Buster. And so now I feel I'm going to have to get to Boone for the next hour. I don't know. I can't read the whole thing word for word. Y'all realize that already, right? There's just no way that is possible. Like, if I tried to read it word for word, we'll be here. We'll be here forever. Okay. So there'll be a little bit of skipping. And I'm going to need some help as far as translation, because although the handwriting is quite pretty, I don't understand some of the stuff that some of the words. I'll admit it too. All right. But any questions before I move on in regards to Buster Murdaugh in his civil suit against mass media, documentary producers, and Michael DeWitt, journalist. Okay. Editor, journalist. Okay. Oh, thank goodness. I just saw that Justice for Marilyn Manson got her Spotify issue. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. That was a lot of work you did. There was a lot of work you did, and I'm glad it was saved. Mark says, yes, it was sort of Alex doing the ruining of Buster with his legal. Yes, it was. Nobody could say that Alex protected anybody, because he didn't. Indefinitely, Alex is guilty. Alex is tried and guilty. There's no alleged anymore in Alex. Alex is convicted of murder and financial crimes, astronomical financial crimes, which he admitted to. Okay. There's no doubt about that. But in any of that, there's no Buster. Right? I mean, it's just that last name. It's just because they're an entitled family, they push their weight around in Buster, whether he's the beneficiary of that or not, is getting lumped in with it. Nobody's saying that he's innocent of entitlement or that he's innocent of being, spoon-fed the silver lining. Nobody is actually saying that. What they're saying is, regardless of who you are, at least that's what I think Buster is saying, regardless of who you are, who you're associated with, nobody has the right to falsely accuse you of crap, especially when actual facts exist to make it not true and you decide to run with it anyway. I mean, that's what I'm getting from the document. I don't know what you guys are getting, but that's what I'm trying to put out there. He's saying the evidence was there. There was information there, and you were aware of it, and you went and did this anyway because it was more sensational and you made money on it. Okay. That's what he's saying. That you purposely didn't care. You purposely put it out there with intent to make money, not with total disregard of anybody's reputation. And that would make it defamatory. If they had the information that it wasn't true and they said it anyway to make money, I mean, isn't that the definition? That's one of the things you got to prove. And we'll see what happens because there's no trial yet. Yeah, I agree that Boone is a little cray-cray. If you all saw my short on it, I used Ozzy's Crazy Train on purpose because that's how I felt after I read this. A peanut nopio. That's a scary thought, Liam. It is a very, very scary thought. All right, if there's no more questions in regards to Murdaugh, we are going forward. Here we go. And like I told you guys before, there'll be snark warning. I don't know. Mods, do we actually have to put a trigger warning in there for snark? I don't think so. I don't, I don't, I like trigger warnings only like if it's going to be horrific, something visual or anything, or we're going to use certain words. But I expect everybody to be an adult. If something is really offensive to you to borrow, you don't have to, don't stay. Take care of yourselves. Okay. Anyway, a little bit of backstory here. Sarah Boone had a hearing on June 7th that I played some audio clips, and she went before Judge Michael Kraynick and with Patricia Cashman, her attorney, and there was some back and forth about Sarah complaining heavily about her attorney and Patricia Cashman trying to say, what was going on. And at that point, Patricia Cashman had not filed her withdrawal. Okay, not during the hearing. But at that hearing, this 58-page letter was presented, and the attorney is entitled to a copy of it too. This did not appear, although he received it at the hearing on June 7th. It did not appear in the court record until June 20th, like a few days ago, 21st, 22nd. Anyway, it was given stamped. This is the way Judge Kraynick works. When he first took over the case, Sarah then gave him a letter and mailed him a letter. But he waits until he reads it thoroughly, makes the issues on it, and decides what he's going to do before he makes it public record out there. So it's not uncommon for it to be a week or so after he receives it for it to get published. But they do publish all of them as part of the court documents because it is from the defendant. And when you see what I'm talking about here, you're going to see that she files it like she tries to put like motions and issues in there, which are not in the proper format. She's not defending herself, but she's trying to actually plead her case to the judge and sway his decisions on stuff, which is her attorney's job to do. I would like to stress that. One of the issues with Sarah Boone is that she wants to be in control of everything and not the attorney. And I think when we go through this, you're going to see that is probably the truest statement that I could say. Sarah Boone doesn't want anybody else talking to anybody else but her. Here we go. Honorable Judge Kraynick, ongoing 5 years, ... Why can't I use my constitutional rights? Am I the only one who cares about the ongoing violations of having a bond? That was addressed in the hearing, and that was a joke. Have all my medical records? That was also addressed. Well, you do have them, boo-boo. You can't ask for stuff you've already received just because you got a new attorney. Anyway, have all my digital evidence and discovery? It's all in the files. And you do get access. You get limited access with a laptop to re-look at all of the information provided by your attorney's office and everybody. But if you keep changing attorneys, it takes a while to get everything together because you got to go to 7 other attorneys to get everything pulled together on the work that they've done to present all of the information to you. But okay, Sarah. Okay. All right. I warned you all. I warned you. Settle down. Sit down, buttercups. It gets worse. Have all my paperwork, notes, letters, pictures, everything of mine returned by a former attorney? Okay. So now she's claiming that the work that the attorneys do because they're doing it on her case is hers, not their work product. I do believe there's some legal rights there into the information as provided from the other side, but the work product, gets talked to the other attorney, and as professionals in the legal field representing you, they have obligations to speak to each other about the work that's done and provide the information. Do they have to show you every detail? No. Okay. There are rights and there are rights. She's got a point there, but the entitlement of it is a little overextended, in my humble opinion. Speak to my investigator. Yeah, well, the investigator can register and get on the list to speak with you as a visitor. But he hasn't. He's doing a job. He gets paid to do a job, to file a report. He doesn't want to have a face-to-face with you and go over stuff like that. You can't make him. Then fire him and get a new one. Have a complete download of my phone. Have any of my witness lists. Give any insight, understanding, clarification, truths about my case, especially to my attorney. be listened to by anyone, especially my attorney, be respected for who I am, truly, especially by my attorney, and not be disrespected for the mitigated malicious murder all the world has falsely, incorrectly created and believes me to be. Be treated fairly, lawfully, and be protected by the justice system. Properly, rightfully, completely defend myself. Well, you could always represent yourself. Oh, can you guys just think about that trial? Give it just 2 seconds. And then after you pick yourself off the floor because you're laughing so hard, because everyone has the right to do that. I personally don't think that's in Sarah Boone's best interest, because her shenanigans makes it very hard to take things seriously. See all and know the same as the world can and does, including my attorney, from all the phenomenal, non-permissive amount of my entire case being available online globally before my trial, and most important, before I have seen it myself. Oh, it's public access. She does get access to a laptop. She can see what's on the records there. And there's laws in the state of Florida about transparency for legal cases. They have to put certain things out there. There's no gag order on your case. If you don't want the public to know it, you should have advised any one of your attorneys to petition for a gag order, and they could have got it, because we all know how sensational this case is. I believe a reasonable judge would have put a gag order on the information of this case just based on his popularity and the way she plays to the camera. Didn't that happen for Lori Vallow? Didn't that judge say, we're tainting the pool here? This is crazy. Like, this is getting out of hand. We need to stop it. And although I believe in transparency, I also am responsible for everyone getting a fair trial. The defendant deserves a fair trial, and put a stop to it. That's what Judge Boyce did in Lori Vallow's case. Okay. I'm sure anyone, Judge Wooten or Judge Kraynick, would have done it for Sarah Boone had they presented that argument in a motion to the judge, which they have not. And most important, what does anyone know already about my case? How about my side in everything about everything? You haven't gone to trial yet. The defense doesn't get to present the case yet. You can do motions, though. Yes, you can. Be correctly understood that I am not the problem for reasons I am malappointed by the court attorney number 8. Malappointed? See my letter of July 21st of 2023. Say what I want and should, but all the world can, and say it all wrong and warped. Oh my. Oh my. Yes, get out the violins, throw me some otters. Can you see why I'm having some difficulty here? How do you not snark with this kind of entitlement? She's writing to the judge in a pity party, when she should be dealing with her attorney to file motions to get that voice out there. You got a statement to make? You got a lawyer? Get the motion filed. All right? To talk about a bond hearing 4 years in, the way she just did, and her main complaint is that the lawyer literally explained to the brother that was going to have to come forward to help with money, a place to stay, and character witness, explained the process to him. Sarah is pissed because when the brother found out what the process would be, he don't want to do it. But it's all the attorney's fault, because she did her job. Sarah's problem with her attorneys is they're doing their job. I have to stick up for Patricia Cashman here. 43 years of legal experience. Took over this case several months ago and already filed everything that needed to be filed. Dotted every I and crossed every T that was left open within 45 days. I kid you not. It was magnificent. Discovery issues freaking putting in the not guilty plea again, making sure everything's understood, reestablishing the defense guidelines, where they're going to go, meetings with the prosecutors to find out where they go, got the investigator paid for, got the expert witness paid for, found the freaking expert witness within 45 days. And Sarah walks out of the meetings with this attorney. Sarah walks out of them. We heard it in the hearing. She says she doesn't like the way she talks to her. She says she doesn't like the way she talks to her. She doesn't do what she wants, is my translation of that. Time, that's definitely. Anyway, grant me access to anything I ask her for in and about my case. Nope, you get reasonable stuff, especially when she can prove that you've already had it and it's not pertinent. Like detectives in my case, stop putting words in my mouth. She's accusing the detectives of putting words in her mouth. Tell me what's going on in my case. It's been well over 100 days. She's been my attorney, and I still do not know. Ongoing 5 years. You walked out on the meeting. 3 meetings that she set up for you. She took collect calls from you that she's not obligated to take. They make arrangements for her to come to the prison and have meetings with you, but she took collect calls that don't get reimbursed under any legislation in defense attorneys. Okay. Now I think they should talk. And I think that's why Patricia Cashman, as an experienced attorney, took those calls. She realized how frustrated Sarah was. She realized she's the 8th attorney in a long line. She realizes this case has been going on forever. She realizes this case needs to move through the justice system. This case needs to be taken care of for everyone's benefit. And Sarah deserves a fair trial in her best defense. She took those calls. What did Sarah do? Walk out of every meeting. Because Sarah wants to talk about this. Sarah wants to talk about that. Patricia Cashman wants to do her job and updates Sarah on what's going on. Sarah doesn't care about the real legal proceedings behind the scenes or how this case is moving forward. Sarah focuses on just the little minute details from God knows when, for whatever. I mean, basically about the bond hearing, she told the judge, how am I supposed to know she's telling the truth when I heard from a guard and another inmate that that's not the process? She actually discounts 43 years of experience in the whole judicial system based on, I asked one of the guards and some of the inmates here, and that's not their experience. I kid you not. You all heard it word for word. I know you heard what I heard. She said it out in public in the hearing. Why have I already been judged in court of public opinions? How did that happen? You opened your mouth. You wrote a letter. I can tell you how that happened. All the letters, Sarah. All the letters. All the statements. Why have I been sentenced by anticipation and condemned before my predicted trial? Can you see where she's going with this? Why does my attorney and all the world think my case is already over? Because a seasoned 43-year experienced seasoned attorney walked into a meeting with you and said, since there's no option to settle this at this point, we need to bring back our best defense. But the best thing to do is you've already served 4 years. Let's get this done and move forward. Here's the evidence against you. We don't have much to go against it, but we're going to try. But we need to go to trial. But in my humble opinion, Patricia Cashman's big offense as far as Sarah Boone is concerned is she probably said, let's stop stalling this trial. I'm ready to fight for you. We need a date. I'm not going to put a motion in for delay. I think that's where this is all coming from. Her attorney didn't agree with her to stall it again, to find another angle. She wants to go to trial. There's no more to be done. They have investigators. They have experts. They've got stuff paid for. The investigator found what he found and didn't find what he didn't find. They need to go forward. Everything's to her continued disadvantages, hindrance, impediments. I am still experiencing on top of the new spinning my intentions to write. The race to the pulpit is unfair. The race to the pulpit. It's 4 is unfair, and it is important to me that you, Judge Kraynick, are aware and understand what transpires when the news cameras are off and we're all in between my status hearings. Two, as so many of the advantages embezzlers, racketeers, mindless lemmings, and just altogether mean people can use their freedom of speech, not knowing me in any way other than what's being said by all the other mean people and being said incredibly incorrectly. So can I. This is true. I'm here reading your words, Sarah. But you know what? They're your words. You want to know why we're talking about it? You wrote it. You submitted it. You want us to. If you think that we're so naive that we don't know that you're manipulating the media and everybody else in the public opinion and trying to tamper with the jury pool at that time, because the only reason somebody writes a 58-page letter like this is so it gets published, because you had something to say and you wanted everybody to hear it. You called all of us fans. You said we'd all get together and bail your butt out if there was a bond hearing. I don't know who put that in your ear, but the people that are talking about you, well, I don't know if you could actually use the word fan. I don't see pickets for your freedom. I don't see people advocating for you to get a mistrial because you're so damn popular out here. I don't see it. I don't see anything that says fan, you know. But hey, do I think that people would contribute? Oh, of course they would. Yeah, of course they would. But there's more to having the money to getting out. And if it was possible, you'd be out. Murder is a serious charge, boo-boo. As the compelling, annoyed detectives in my case, Copsall had to falsify documents, and Lowen wore his gun for me to see. Let me just address that statement right there. She's only saying that. She's trying to taint something. Apparently, she doesn't realize that Copsall was cleared of all falsification of documents. That was the chief detective, the pregnant female detective who interviewed her, that we all saw those interviews. If you want to go back, if you're new to the case, it's in the playlist below. They're not my videos, but I fairly linked others' full investigative videos of the whole investigation and the interviews that were done. Why redo something that other people have done? Like, let them get the views. You know how that's how I am. The important part is the accurate information, right? So you can go and you can see. And she was accused of falsifying some information or giving some misleading statement. And so she was put on the Brady list because the prosecutors were going to use her as a witness. And they had to say that she was under investigation for some wrongdoing in the capacity of her job within law enforcement. Okay. And she was cleared of all charges. But Sarah wants everybody to focus on it. But I'm focusing on the fact she was cleared of all charges and she's off the Brady list now, and she will be a witness for the prosecution, as she should. Chief detective on the case. I am sure you are familiar with after watching all my plastered, highly misconstrued, over 30 million views just on one site. So instead of going to the public documents site for Florida's records, Sarah goes and watches the YouTube videos to see who's getting what views on her stuff. Yup. That's where Sarah focuses her internet searches. Yeah, way to tell on yourself there, Sarah. If this isn't about, oh wow, how can I just benefit from this? Like, I am going to be like, I'm like, let's get the justice warriors advice here. Let's call civil liberties. Like, let's get everybody. My rights are being violated here. Listen, has this taken too long? Yes. Is that not fair? Absolutely, it's not fair. She should not be sitting in jail this long without a trial. She should not be sitting in jail this long without being advocated for by her attorneys. What? She's saying like she wasn't. And we were all here for the 4 years. Did we not see filings from every single one of those attorneys? Did not they all try to do something for Sarah? You know who's causing all of this? Like, this unjustification, in my humble opinion, is Sarah. Sarah is the one getting in the way of her rights. because she don't understand where those rights begin and where they end. She's not the lawyer. Lawyers are allowed to do their job, the scope of their job. If you let them. If you let them. As the compelling annoyed detectives in my case, 30 million views just on one site, interviews in which they both repeatedly attempted to feed me their incorrect, incomplete, hypothesized opinion by stating to me, everyone has their limits. At this seemingly endless point of perpetuity of nonsense and lawlessness still growing, and I very much want to advance to the next level after ongoing 5 years now, a genuine concerned limit has been reached. Why am I still not being included in my case? That's a lie. How much more of my care in self is being added hourly, especially after this letter gets loose to the internet, increasing the mass infection and destruction of my hopes to have a fair trial. Anything fair, my side foremost, and wondering now if my attorney drank the punch like everyone else. Right there is intent to me. Let's play legal drama here for a second. Like that statement right there. If you don't want anyone to know any of this, why did you write a 58-page letter that you know is going to be published on the site as part of your record, that you know the judge is legally required to publish the record in the state of Florida, in your county, unless there's a gag order? It's not up to him to pick and choose what becomes public access. The whole record is public access. And when you write to a judge, it's public record. And if you didn't know that when you wrote your first letter, you sure the hell found out after all of them were published. Don't act like the innocent. Don't act like this isn't what you want. Sarah Boone is advocating for a mistrial. Sarah Boone is advocating for the fact that she can't get a fair trial because of her own actions, obviously. And also the media and several of us YouTubers, like, myself included, we're out here talking about it. But we talk about a lot of trials and they still go forward, don't they? This is not going to get you out of it, Sarah. And the statement that the detectives made, they were pretty kind to you considering what they found on your phone. And you know what, Sarah? I'm sure you could have pled. I'm almost positive of it after watching the interviews. I am almost positive of it after seeing the faces of the judges in the prosecution, in every attorney that's represented you. I don't know for a fact, but in my mind, it would be ridiculous not to offer this woman a plea with the evidence that they found on her phone. Let's get it done. Sarah's the one keeping this going. You want to complain about 5 years? You know how to get this done, boo. Let your lawyer do her job. And by the way, Patricia Cashman is still listed as the lawyer. There's been no movement as to whether that withdrawal will be accepted. But after reading this, and Patricia Cashman did have to read it, she realizes there's no hope. They are totally on different pages. How do you represent somebody who does not want to be represented? Sarah Boone doesn't want to be represented. Sarah Boone wants to be the only voice. And I understand when your life is on the line, how that's got to feel, and you feel like you got to do everything, but you're not doing yourself any good if you don't get the help of professionals. Because as much as she thinks she can learn and be the best advocate for herself, she can be an advocate for herself. But based on what I've seen in these letters and all, she's not going to make a very good attorney for herself at all. All right. So I'm going to skip over a lot of this diatribe that says the same. To sum it up in words of my new attorney after I told her to Google me, she told her to Google her to see what the media was saying. She said there's a lot. To sum it up with the words the defendant stated to my attorney after she stated that, what can I see? How much longer do I have to wait? how many attorneys must be withdrawn for me to be included in my case and be included more than the world presently is. That's what she feels her case is. Also, I want to make it known I walked out of our last meeting due to her unwarranted, uninformative, unprofessional, snotty attitude and her untruthful answers to my questions and beyond. The retarded vicious circle we enter every time we meet is a waste of time, and I'm saying that being in jail with supposedly endless amounts of it. How she treats me is extremely prejudiced, hostile, and unconcerned. How she treats you is, this is my job, I'm going to do my best for you, but you got to stop the nonsense. Patricia Cashman has 43 years of legal experience, and she is no bullshit, no nonsense. She's not your therapist, Sarah. She's not going to hold your hand and make you feel better for the fact that you're charged with murder or the fact that this took too long. She's coming in late, and her job is to move it forward and do her best for you, not to lick your wounds. Seriously, I can't get this. She is very frustrating. To balk or defeat in an endeavor, i.e., won't do what I say, to induce feelings of insecurity, discourage, intent, or dissatisfaction in, you are kind of inserting yourself and making this more difficult, and it's not to your benefit. To bring to nothing. I am moving forward with trial. It's not nothing. It is the end goal. It may not be Sarah's end goal, but it is the end goal. So much I presented my solution in order to coexist and work together in hopefully progressive, positive, appropriate manner. I added pretend judge. Yes, people, she added a scenario to where she only wanted to talk to her lawyer if the lawyer would pretend the judge was in the room, so she acted with professional conduct. Because Sarah doesn't want attorney privilege. She don't want the real deal. Okay. No, she don't want to be treated, with the no bullshit attitude. I don't know what she expected, but Patricia Cashman really just wants to do her job. Well, to add, how insulting is that to be told, you're the attorney, you walk in to see your client, and the client's like, I'm not going to speak to you unless you pretend the judge is here because I don't like the way you talk to me. I am innocent until adjudged otherwise. She treats me as if I am not. I don't think so. She's advocated legally with you in filings. They say the opposite. And I've seen it in black and white. Maybe you should concentrate on reading that part of the record. After my introduction and explanation with pretend judge in the room or on the phone, I am trying to help her understand how she is making herself extremely unwelcoming. I'll just let you sit with that. She should treat me at all times like she's in court. That's what she wants. All right. I should feel secure, highly confident, proud in her representing my life. I do not and have said to her many times regarding her monumental disbelief in me and my case, which I believe contributes greatly to her ironical attitude towards me. I don't even know what that says. I am hoping by this letter she will pick up the sword of injustice and fight alongside, not against me. In other words, do what I say and not what she thinks is best. And that's all that Sarah wants. Okay. This goes on and on and on and on. My question, please. Who acts like that and still be able to call themselves professional? Sarah Boone actually believes she could judge who a good lawyer is. She has not let a single lawyer. That's what I've seen. I'm not a lawyer. I wonder what the other lawyers. I've listened to some of the other lawyers, what they say. LawTube has great opinion on this. Okay, lots of people do. I follow the lawyer. Charles Law. I do because I might not like some of his coverage of other cases, but when it comes to Boone, he advocates that, she's been there too long. This is getting to be to the point where it is unjust and unfair. How long is dragging out? But he also, he does give a nod to, is Sarah actually the reason it is? And is it fair to blame it on the judicial system when Sarah is the one not cooperating? She, like other former attorneys who always blame their dysfunctions on me. Get out those fiddles, people. Get out those violins. It isn't me, it's them. And there's a lot of them, and there's only one me. It couldn't possibly be me. I mean, I may be the common denominator in all of it, but gosh, it's not me. It's obviously them. They're just like that. It's all them. And she's in caps now. So, okay, I am not the problem, except that I want to and should be treated fairly. With respect, acting more professional than the paid. I've been doing this for over 40 years, professional. She has. She has, Sarah. Patricia Cashman has been an attorney for 43 years. She's a well-respected attorney. She's got a great record, which you should be looking at. She could have been a great advocate for you. Sorry. Can we call Sarah a little idiotic at this point? Bad move, Sarah. Bad move. All attorneys, do you remember why you even wanted to be one? Remind yourself. Yeah, that's how you're going to get their attention. Let's just call all the attorneys unprofessional. Let's blame it on all the attorneys. And let's just tell them that you know how to do their job better than they do and remind them that they're just suck at it. Good move, Sarah. God bless the next one, if there is a next one. I am not wrong for not thinking less of myself because everyone else has and does. This present attorney foremost. I think this attorney probably asked you to face some facts, that it was in your best interest to go forward with trial and try to put on a very good defense as to why what happened. But it happened, Sarah. George Torres is dead. For whatever reason, he's in a suitcase that you knew about. You taunted him and recorded it from your home on your couch. You were inebriated. You don't get to sit there and act so damn entitled when somebody's dead. If your attorney actually advocated that some accountability needs to be taken here to get this resolved, bless her. Because that's what we're all thinking. You're making this worse for yourself. You're trying to twist the judicial system into something it's not. It's not your personal advocacy program. You get a fair trial, not an overly biased to your whining diatribe trial. You were given numerous professionals, and you don't have to pay for them. The justice system guarantees them for you. The citizens of Florida pay for them. You don't. You're right. You are getting your rights. But your rights you seem to expand on a little too much. I don't even call you guilty out here. You haven't had a trial yet. I wouldn't. Okay? I think you're overcharged. A lot of us have said that. A lot of YouTube have said that. But with that kind of attitude and the blatant bullshit, you wonder if maybe she did do it. The more letters she writes, the more I think she did. I don't know. That's just an opinion. I have not fired any attorneys appointed in my case. That's right. You just made it impossible for them to work with you. But you didn't fire them because you can't fire them because you don't hire them. The court assigns them. You're not paying for them. This unhinged me. Can you tell? Can you tell? And representing myself is not an option. Both judges have now threatened me from being outspoken and intelligent in all my observations of the ongoing abuse I am and have experienced. I have no experiences from it always being the same. Blame Boone. I refuse to be moved in wanting respect, no matter who everyone thinks I am. Clarity, inclusion, honesty, and professionalism. That's what she wants, but that's not what she gives. Sarah Boone does not act professional with her attorneys or respectful in any way. And as far as honesty, I have my doubts. I have my doubts. Personal opinion there. And another great reason not to have my case meetings on the public visitation box is my personal confidential inmate information, such as my visitation list with names that says, all right, she's pissed because we're allowed to know who she talks to. This is all transparency. This is all part of the justice system. The justice system doesn't have to covet for your ego, Sarah. There are laws. Okay, when you are charged with a crime, certain rights disappear. Your right of freedom, if you're put in holding, okay? You get limited access to stuff, but you get access. Those rights are protected, okay? You don't get free reign of the internet. You don't get to see whoever you want, whenever you want, however you want, okay? And we all get to know who you're talking to because you're not allowed to just do all these side like bullshit stuff, okay? It's all public access. It's made for transparency. What are you trying to hide? Why are you so offended about who people see? You talk about being the real you and people wanting to see the real you. We are. And that's what you're pissed about. We get to see everything. The world apparently knows all. So let me write a 58-page letter about it to make sure you really do. Like you really do. How many times do I go for a bathroom and what function I perform? I don't really care about your bathroom stuff. I don't care what you ate. I don't care who does your hair. I really don't care. I really don't care. Well, you write a 58-page letter and you send it to the judge and whine like this. I care. I care. I care about the ludicrousy of this whole situation. I care about the delay again in a trial that should have been over 2 years ago. I care. Yes, I do care. But do I care about your fifis right now, feeling all up in them? No. You're making this worse for yourself. Sorry. I want you to get a trial. Please be sure to read my attachment and here we get, okay, I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to take a sip of something. I ask you all to take a breath, to settle a little bit, because Sarah Boone is now going to go forward with all the information she researched on the laws everywhere and what everybody else should be doing, because the next 40 pages are going to blow your mind, and I'm just going to skip over them. I'm going to give you the document to read for yourself. Anybody that gets excited easy may want to make sure that they're ready for it, because talk about audacity. I don't want to be a lawyer for myself. I deserve a good lawyer. I don't want to listen to them. You gave me one with 43 years of experience, but I don't like her because she talks to me in facts, and I don't want facts. I want hand holding in whatever. And now she's going to go forward to Judge Kraynick. And when I said in my last discussion of Sarah Boone that Judge Kraynick is a saint, I can't say it more than enough now, because he had to read this and he's still a judge. I can't even imagine being put in the position of having to read the next 40 pages as a professional in the legal system, in the judicial system at all, and not have some strong feels about all of this. All right. FRC Rule 3.220E, restricting disclosure. Am I the only one who thinks of these things? Oh, Judge, let me just call you out for not putting a gag order on my case. When can I win in anything? Don't knock it till you try it. 3 points back. Race to the pulpit. Again, Sarah. So here we go. Here's the research. All of the rest of the pages, West Florida statutes and the Florida rules on criminal procedure, RE discovery, prosecutor's discovery obligation, a list of the names and addresses of all persons. She's just complaining that she doesn't have. This is all in the record, okay? And it all has to be provided. Their next court hearing is in September. That's what's on the books right now. Okay. It is, let me just double check. It is September 24th. It's the management conference where they make sure all of this is here. Okay. We'll get the witness list, make sure all the discovery is back and forth. We have discovery through 7 different attorneys prior to Patricia Cashman in the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office is not holding back any information. Everything's available. Any written or recorded statements and the substance of any oral statements by a co-defendant. You listen, all of this is available in the recorded electronic documentation of the case and is available to the attorneys and available to Sarah. Okay. Um, if she says that basically the way she carries around files, I think part of her problem is she wants everything in hard copy like paper, and that's not the world anymore. They tell her where to find it, and she refuses to go. She wants it personally handed to her, and I believe she probably even says triplicate, but that's my snide. I can't help it. She just looks like that kind of person. She just acts like that kind of person. She sounds like that kind of person from the way she writing all this. Like she wants it all handed to her. Tell me what it is. Show me. Read it to me. Here's the physical copy of it. Like, let me sit and talk to you about it for 17 hours so you can go over every word. And that doesn't happen in real life, boo-boo. Get over yourself. If you think sending a judge 40 pages of legal diatribe when you say you don't want to be your own lawyer is going to get you anywhere, I don't even know where she's going. I just can't. I just can't. Well, as we go through discovery, and all of this is handwritten from what she found on the internet, and it's true. It's all pretty much from what I could read today. The defendant's obligation. If a defendant elects to participate in discovery, either through filing the appropriate notice or by participating in any discovery process, including the taking of a discovery deposition, the following disclosure shall be made. That didn't happen, boo. You never filed this. She didn't do it. They didn't want to depose her. They have the interview. She wants all of the experts. All of this is available. The prosecutor and the defendant shall perform their obligations under this rule in a manner mutually agreeable as ordered by the court. When the court puts a deadline for discovery, they mean it. When one side or the other says, hey, they're not giving me all the information and I need time to look at it, the judge then says, hey, turn it over. They file motions. They go back and forth. No one has filed a motion that no discovery has been received from the prosecution. Not that I saw. Anyway, let's get to this goes on and on and on. Can you guys see what I'm talking about here? There's in very early times, the law gave remedy only for physical interference with life and property, for trespasses. Then the right to life served only to protect the subject from battery in its various forms. I mean, she's going on. Florida Constitution. Yes, people, she's quoting the Florida Constitution. But she don't want to advocate or be a lawyer. She's giving them definitions. Attorneys also have obligation to keep the confidence of a client at all times and to keep the client informed at all matters related to the client's interests, to inform the client of law related to the client's affairs, and to deter to the client's decisions. Defer. Although the attorney has no obligation to the client to perform or refrain from any act contrary to the highest standards of professional responsibility and to the law. The last three attorneys said in no uncertain terms they could not go along with things Sarah wanted them to do based on contradictions on what they thought those standards were. Now, they used other language. I know Mrs. Cassandra just made a funny joke that just caught my eye, and I apologize. Well, she said it's a good thing I'm not on the potato, which was my old laptop, because 58 pages from Sarah Boone would have sent my potato into mashed consistency immediately. We would have been dealing with like very soupy mashed potatoes at this point. Okay. She's actually saying that, like, first of all, about the confidentiality. Patricia Cashman during that hearing did not break any confidentiality by saying Sarah walked out of those meetings. Sarah walked out of those meetings. Those meetings are public. She didn't say what was in those meetings. She didn't say what Sarah said. She didn't talk about the defense. She didn't disclose any avenues. She didn't even say to the judge what Sarah is asking her to do. And no attorney yet has filed that. They have said that based on the discussions, they couldn't go forward based on a difference of opinion on how things should proceed in their own versions of legal standards and obligations. They couldn't do it. But are they saying what it is? No. But saying they can't move forward based on her actions is not breaking attorney-client privilege. Where did that happen? It didn't happen. Zealous advocacy. It doesn't matter what kind of idiot things I say, you will defend him. Apparently, that's what she wants. And I know I'm speculating here. I look forward to you all reading it yourself. But, like, no, I'm not paying for your migraine medicines, your Tylenol, your Advil, your paracetamol, any of it. Like, if you read this document, like, just be well prepared. Hydrate, have lots of breathing room, take a walk once in a while. This one was tough. And like I said, I can't get through it. Attorney misconduct is a failure of an attorney to comport with the rules and accepted professional customs of the bar, and includes any act or omission of a duty by an attorney that fails to perform appropriately the office of an attorney or an officer to the court, as a counselor and fiduciary of a client, or as a member of the legal profession. The scope of attorney misconduct reaches also to conduct of attorneys that is harmful to the appropriate reliance of the citizenry upon the law and legal profession. In other words, I'll call you every name in the book that I can, because I'm Sarah Boone, and you just sit there and take it, because, you know, that's attorney misconduct if you hurt my fiffies. You didn't like my pretend judge idea? Shame on you. You're a bad attorney. It was a great idea. Why shouldn't you act like the judge is there all the time? And attorney's demeanor to determine whether a party's substantial rights were affected. Duress. Yeah, it gets worse. Habeas corpus. A review of the lawfulness of any person's custody or restraint. Sarah thinks she shouldn't have been arrested. Sarah thinks that because she told them, I didn't know he was in there, and she did know he was in there. I knew he was in there, but I thought he got out. Even though, like, I turned, like, the suitcase is in two different videos in two different positions, and it was turned over. Like, how was he supposed to unzip it himself? And oh yeah, like, you didn't mean him any harm, but you sat there and listened to him tell you he couldn't breathe. But habeas corpus, like, you're going too far, people. Like, you arrested me, and I told you I didn't do anything on purpose. Like, come on, why are you arresting me? Can't you just, like, let me go? She's just looking for anything. She wants this whole thing thrown out. And the reason that I'm abuse of power, she actually thinks the legal system is strong-arming her. That's a good point there. Can I ask you, chat, and also anybody who watches this and has something to say about it or wants to come forward, how do you feel about that? Do you actually think the legal system is abusing Sarah Boone? And I'm talking about judicial system here. The judge, the attorneys, the process. Forget the media for just a second. We all know Sarah Boone's getting used for that. We all know we're all doing what we do. Even me doing what I do. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about the judicial system itself, the process. Abuse of the process. Do you think Sarah Boone is suffering from abuse of the process? I mean, I don't even want to get into how much money Sarah Boone has cost the state of Florida. Two essential elements of abuse of process are an ulterior purpose and a willful act in the use of process not proper in regular conduct or proceeding. She's even going into the what Florida has to say about examining of a witness. Like, excited utterance. Apparently, Sarah said some things that she doesn't want to be held accountable for. Spontaneous declaration or spontaneous exclamation. An unthinking statement made it a moment of great surprise and stress. Oh, and here's where she made a map of all of the YouTube videos in the media where they're all coming from, which is the whole United States. Like, we all know this. And she's sending all this to the judge. To date, I've starred each state where I received correspondence via mail or message regarding my criminal case. The number grows daily. Most all letters and messages are available for review and understanding of the impact of my case details being made readily available on the global internet, creating wrongful ignorance, hate, and massive prejudice before my trial. Prejudgment, actually not prejudice, prejudgment before my trial. I, the defendant in my case, have not yet, ongoing 5 years, fully reviewed or even seen all of my case details. Everyone in the world has already had the opportunity to do so for themselves. She can log on to that court site. She gets access. Did not this 58-page document prove that Sarah has access to the internet? Does anybody really think that the filed criminal charges against her that are public to everybody else have not been given to Sarah? Does anyone believe that her written depositions, the actual video, her statements, her typed out statements from evidence in discovery through her interrogation are not available to her? Does anyone believe that she doesn't have access to these files? She just showed us a damn map of personal correspondence. You know, Sarah is focused on what the people are saying and twisting that. This is a big allegation here, and this really upset me. My former attorneys are withholding some of my case contents that I have supplied to them and which have been deemed lost. Many other items have been returned, not to myself, but to the next attorney, in which have been unable to be located to date. When you submit something as part of the case, it stays with the case, and it goes from attorney to attorney. You submitted it to your attorney to be used in your defense. It's part of the case. He can't remove it from the case and give it to you. They need to transfer it case by case. That's to me, that is to make sure for your benefit that your case stays intact and all your information is there. I don't know what she's claiming is lost, but the last couple of things she asked for, Patricia Cashman proved, because she had her own handwriting on it, that she had those files. And she is actually asking for things just to slow stuff up, just to spin the wheels, just to, like, you know, what is that song? Dance, Monkey, Dance? That's what comes to mind. As a matter of fact, I hear that playing in my ears right now, like that's going through my mind. I am missing innumerable case items which I continuously request to be returned or obtained without success. Invasion of privacy, appropriation, intrusion, public disclosure of private facts, public disclosure of private facts. It's a murder case. The judicial system is for the people. The defendant has rights. The prosecution has rights. The prosecution represents the people. What private information? The name? The fact that you've been arrested? What you're charged with? The evidence they have against you? None of that's private. False light in the public eye. They're putting out the facts. They put out what they have. What false light? People are allowed to have their opinion on you, Sarah. They don't have to agree. I think she's pissed that nobody's saying she's innocent. I think she's pissed that there's not enough YouTubers out there saying we need to advocate for Sarah Boone. She's wrongly accused. She's not getting the chance to get a fair trial. I'm sorry. Most reasonable people think that this is going on so long. And now I'm even of the opinion that it's mostly your fault. this judicial system is not perfect. I get that. And delays happen. And it took too long even before you started with your crap, with the letters and stuff. But to think that you're not contributing to all of these so-called rights of yours being violated, well, that's a little naive. I mean, the average person ain't gonna fall for it, Sarah. You're misjudging the public. She's cursed with thinking she's the smartest person in the room. Yep, Mark, I don't want to be alone. I'm glad Dance Monkey's playing in your mind too, and several others that have heard Wrecker play that song for us, sing it, and play it on guitar. It was great. And it's in my head now, and I can't get it out. And join me, Mark. I mean, don't go against it. Just join me. Let's just listen to it. It's a great song. Anyway, we're getting towards the end. I can't read this word for word. I did my best, people. There's just too much. In order to state a claim for false light invasion of privacy, the person need not prove that they have been defamed. Rather, it is enough that they are given unreasonable and highly objectionable publicity that attributes to their character, conduct, or beliefs that are false, and so is placed before public in a false position. I don't know. Please, if I've said anything false about Sarah Boone without the words allegedly or my humble opinion included in them, could y'all please point them out for me, and I shall personally write a letter to Sarah to apologize. Because here's the thing. Saying what we see, repeating your own freaking words and speaking on them does not actually put you in a bad light as your character. This is you. That doesn't, this is what you're doing. Okay. As much as you say that we're all doing it, Sarah, you're doing it. If you don't want it done, then stop. You know, I couldn't talk about this letter if you didn't put it out there. And do you really think that anything productive is going to happen from this letter? How productive were the last ones? Only in delaying your trial was the only, perhaps in your point of view, productive thing that happened. You didn't have to go to trial. Your trial dates got canceled and you got a new attorney. Another attempt for somebody to do exactly what you said. And again, lawyers don't do that. Lawyers train hard and, they have a lot of education and, they practice for the law of law and for a way to do things that you don't know. Okay. They know the procedures. You don't. They explain them to you. You don't agree with them. You want to do something else. You search on the internet for some word that fits your confirmative bias of what you want. You're looking for information to fit the picture you won't put out there and to justify it. And Sarah, that is not what people that critically think do. That is not a person with their own best interest in mind should be doing. Okay. I know it's hard to trust in the system, but if you work against it, it ain't gonna help. There has to be a compromise. I wanted to read that one about the line. Oh, sorry, you guys. The line is drawn when the publicity ceases to be the giving of information to which the public is entitled and becomes a morbid and sensational prying. Okay, I'm guilty. I got excited when there was a post. Oh, this all, I suggest you all read this one. Publicity, exploitation, and saturation. My personal individual criminal case is being advantageously exploited and abused from all of my significant life-saving suppressible case details, evidence, proof being illegally obtained by coercion, trickery, duress, confusion, and without my permission. It's true. I did not ask Sarah Boone's permission to go to a public website and pull this letter. I did not. I didn't. Yeah. Mark your bingo cards. That was definitely a Tommy W reference. I did not. Okay. But is it illegal? Nope. That's the law. Transparency in the state of Florida. We're allowed. Okay. YouTube allows us to talk about you, Sarah. Yes. As long as I am not like saying anything to cause self-harm or anything like that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not advocating for anything illegal here. We're allowed. And you know what? I find it really funny that you are petitioning this way, but it is my humble opinion that it's exactly what you want. Uh, do you not smile for the camera? Do I not have tons of pictures of you that they take during your hearings where you smile at the camera, where you talk about your fans, where you plead to us and say what you want all of us to hear? Do we not have tons of letters that you wrote to get your side of everything out there? And we are putting it out there. This is your side. It's just not being perceived the way you want it to be perceived. But like, here's the thing, and I'm speaking directly to Sarah Boone here and anybody like her. You can't control that. You can't control what we think. You can't control what we say. We're allowed to look at it and form our own opinions. And it seems like that's the problem that Sarah has with every single one of her attorneys in the public in general. The media, all us YouTubers, her fans. Come on. Cut me a break. I can't wait for this trial. I want her to get a fair trial. I really do. I really do. Anyway, she got the definitions from the law library and Merriam-Webster's and Smart Communications tablet. She asked ChatGPT about it. You know what? For somebody who doesn't want to be her own lawyer, is not she putting this letter out like she's filing a motion and pleading her case, and she just like, seriously, I can't. Let me get to the end. I got to get to the conclusion. We're already 15 minutes late of my 2-hour mark. It's going to go another. The definitions are great, people. I mean, she tells you where she gets them from. Well, she feels like she has to educate us all on what it means to make her point, because we're all too stupid. Like, we're all just too dumb. We are just too dumb to get it. Like, we're just too dumb to get her point. Oh my God. And you see how this goes? It goes on and on. These are just the definitions, okay? Oh, she doesn't want excited utterance. I guess why did she tell somebody she did it? I wonder. Freedom of Information Act is getting cited, coercion, excited utterances. She actually thinks they pulled this off on her. Anyway, the 9 categories of government information exempt from the Freedom of Information are, and it goes on, law enforcement records. She pulled that from the list. She doesn't give all 9. She wants everybody to know that law enforcement records, if their production could reasonably be expected to interfere with enforcement proceedings, to deprive a person of a right to a fair trial or an impartial adjudication, to constitute an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy, and to endanger the life or physical safety of an individual. In other words, anything I said in that interview or anything that you found out, because you're using it against me, that just makes me like look really, really bad. And I don't want you to do that. So I'm going to misinterpret all of these rules about the freedom of information and what you're allowed to look at. Yeah, I just can't. All right. Sorry, guys. That definitely coming down. Be down instead of it. Oh, sorry. Hey, Pete, how you doing? I talked about Buster's civil suit in the prior. I didn't see you, Dave. Maybe you go back to the replay. Oh, take it easy there, Pete, if you're not still here. Thank you for showing up. It's always good to see you. And I would like to know what you think about this Boone case, actually. Oh, there's such a good joke. I can't even put it off, though, Fishner, but kudos. I think Sarah needs her own bingo card. Oh my God. I wouldn't do that to Rocket, to tell you the truth. Juju, thank you. I agree. That is how Tommy W is meant to be used. I mean, absolutely. Like, that is it. Yep. Seriously, who keeps giving her sharp, pointy things to write with? I expected one of the letters to read about how the pens are just not good enough and they don't give her enough paper. Like, it's all coming. Don't like, yeah. Don't worry, people. Sarah will give us all of that. But for all of you that want to read all of that, I can't torture you that much or myself again to read every word of it. But I think I got the general gist out for you. There is the Google Doc. I made it open for everybody, and it's in a format that you should be able to read. I know some of you share this stuff. It is public information. Sarah's uh, information is available on the Orange County court side as part of their transparency. Like I said, the judge waits to put stuff up. There is no order on allowing Patricia Cashman to withdraw yet. Her motion was filed. As far as the hearing, we still have one for September 24th, which is scheduled to be a conference in regards to moving forward with trial. He did say at the hearing, and he being Judge Kraynick, Judge Michael Kraynick, the saint, forever known as the saint, just like Judge Newman is the gentleman. I mean, gosh, listen, Judge Kraynick's the saint. He has not put forward any motions or filed any orders in regards to the letter or the motion to dismiss or anything else that was in the letter. He did tell Sarah Boone in open court that he would address it all. And he did last time when she gave the letter. He did address it. Okay. And there's a lot to address there. Well, my general gist is that she's saying to the judge, I don't want to represent myself. And now that she's had 8 attorneys, she's clearly dissatisfied and made a lot of grievances against Patricia Cashman. And I don't blame Patricia Cashman for understanding the legal ramifications of that. If they do go forward with Patricia Cashman as the attorney, there's a great opportunity to have everything overturned based on the fact that representation was not sufficient because they didn't get along. And that's not fair to the system. And I think Patricia Cashman sees that. But she also, as clearly said in the actual in the hearing, when talking about the complaint Sarah was making, she clearly does see the issue that the judge has. Like, what's a fair trial? How many attorneys does one get assigned before we have to say that's it? Like, no more. Get your own attorney, pay for your own attorney, or this is the one you get. You have that right, or represent yourself. Like, how long do you get to sit in jail with no trial? And when you're the one kind of with all the complaints, let's say that, I don't want to continue to make it her fault, but let's just say she's the one that has the most complaints about how it's going. Where does that accountability lie? How many chances do you get? When does the actual people that are paying for this, the county, the state, prosecution represents them. And what about the victims' families? When does Jorge Torres get his justice? When do his family get to see this come to a close? Judge Kraynick has to balance that out too. It's not all about Sarah Boone. She's the defendant. The state has an obligation to bring justice for Jorge Torres. And being part of that judicial system, Judge Kraynick needs to weigh that into consideration. And so I ask you guys, in closing, for both of these cases, what came to mind to me is, when is enough enough? Where's the line? Where's the line for Sarah Boone in her opportunity to get attorney after attorney and delay after delay? When is enough enough? When does it become prejudicial to justice? When does it become prejudicial to justice? Justice is for both the defendant and the plaintiff. How long does this go on before it becomes biased and prejudicial the other way? How silent does Jorge Torres' family need to be? Mm, I'm telling you. Anyway, the other thing, when is it enough with media falsehoods, purposeful misrepresentations to make money? That whole game. Everybody's entitled to make their money on it. Look at all of us YouTubers out here making a nickel, making a dime, some of them even dollars, you know, all the big ones, they have a right. Well, you don't have a right to defame. When is that line? Where is that line? Where did they draw the line when they went too far? Where does that line exist? And that's what I'll leave you all with both cases. Mhm. Let's see. We shall hear next that she is only allowed 3 pieces of paper and she's being silenced. Probably Mrs. Cassandra. You know, I get that. Okay. Juju, I hear you on these because you were an advocate for her being overcharged, which I do agree in some of that with you. That, like, let's make a plea deal, manslaughter. She didn't mean it, but she contributed to the cause of death of somebody, and she could have intervened, and she willfully didn't. And they have that all on record. Oh, that's manslaughter. Like that's nuts and bolts manslaughter with nothing. Like boom. She'd be out in a little while if they did that. Okay. And I get that. It's frustrating. But Juju says, I have flipped my view on this case. So I would say we have approached that prejudicial line. Yeah. Yep. You miss hearing me say that? Hmm. Listen, I'm not just saying it anymore, Mrs. Cassandra. I'm screaming it from the top of the mountain. I'm screaming it while I'm swinging through the rafters with the ridiculousness of this one. Enough is enough. Come on. Enough is enough. Take a look at it. Take a look at all of you and just knock it off. Like, just knock it off. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thank you all for your patience. We are 2.5 hours in. And I will timestamp the 2 cases. But I'm not going to highlight where I do the grandstanding and the soapboxing and where I don't. That's all for you to weed through, on your own. I say, Maggie, welcome. I feel very conflicted, and that is what she wants. Life is too good for her. You know what? She is trying to, in a way, get her case out there that, like, it isn't what you think it is, and like, I'm being persecuted unfairly, and but I don't think it's an unfair prosecution. Or not based on what we've seen. Sarah's angle is we shouldn't have all seen it because now she can't come into court and cry and say it's not like that and we're misinterpreting it or like the jury, but Sarah has to realize the trial hasn't happened and the jury doesn't get to see what we saw. Now they will have a hard time getting an unbiased jury. I agree. There isn't going to be that many people in Florida that haven't heard about this case. Whether or not they can be unbiased about it is another thing. Okay. And that's what voir dire is all about in the jury selection process. In today's day and age, would you not all agree, in the year 2024, the fact that any of the sensational cases have not been heard about by somebody in the area is ludicrous. Just get that out of your head. It's not whether you know about it, it's how much you know about it, what you feel about it, and whether you're being prejudicial about it. That has to do with jury duty. I hope you all can see where I'm going with that. The modern age. Yeah, I'm dating myself. The damn modern age of the legal system in publicity, in the Freedom of Information Acts, transparency that everyone wanted for, voted for in states, counties, cities, all over our country of the United States. And I'm just speaking about American law here. Okay, we all advocated for that. And so now if you are charged with a crime, there's transparency and people are going to know about it. I say tough. That's what the people wanted. That's what we got. That's our system. And it's fair. Okay, just because it's out here doesn't mean it'll make it to court. Fight harder for what does or does not get into court, Sarah, and stop making yourself a public spectacle. Especially if you're going to complain about us all looking. Draw the drapes. You don't want me seeing? Close the window. All right. That's all I got to say. Thanks for letting me get that all out of my system, everybody. I hope I gave you all something to think about. I hope you all can look at this case as to what it actually is going to be doing when we finally get to trial. I would like to see more legislation on what happens in regards to the length of somebody stays in jail, the amount of attorneys that people can get, and the harassment of judicial judges. At this point, one last thing. Do you think the judge feels harassed? I mean, I know Sarah has an opinion to make, and she's entitled to it. But, like, dragging him into the middle of everything, like he's supposed to solve everything to her. She's a grown-ass woman, and dealing with her attorney is her responsibility. All right. I'm going to do another one on Friday. How about that? And as far as channel news, there'll be 2 episodes of Restaurant at the End of the Universe this week. I'm hoping to do a couple of podcasts with a few people, talking with the Justice for Marilyn Manson. You know, I love Kelly. I love our discussions. And those of you that follow the Manson case, that is the source. Go for all of that. Her podcast with her information, her website with all of the documents, facts, in information. You know, she does it the way I admire, and I can't say enough good things about her, and her advocacy. So look for stuff. Like I'll be around. I've got a lot of projects in the works. Hopefully we will be doing our chill vibe, our chill and chat vibe on Sunday, and just kick back and relax and start the week. But it's going to be a busy week for me. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to head out now. Let me just get that outro out, and have a great night. Thank you to all the new people that are watching. Thank you for the existing people that come. Thank you for those of you that like to talk in the chat. It's not out, you don't have to. But part of what I do is letting you all discuss it, and let's point to things and talk. It's not just, I'm not here thinking my opinion is that great. I'm just here showing you that you can have one. Okay, that's it. So thanks for joining me. I'm glad you're down with what I do. It keeps me doing what I do. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I can't do the YouTubey things. You guys do the YouTubey things. That's up to you. All right. See you later.